The reports menu, I selected the customizable listing reports. In the report builder, I have my data source where I can choose what information I want to pull from. Report styles where I can choose either the line level or the detailed report. I was currently working on the report builder, looking at the selection option and the categories associated with that. On our date fields, when we click into them, it brings up the relative dates that we can choose for. We can also manually select or pick a day if we need to. The money tab has our minimums and maximums. The internal have the different fields for our internal. Parties is where we can type in the different brands or customers. So as you start to click into it, it will bring a drop-down list for the fields you are looking for. Submittals, choose if you have submittals. Specifiers, you can add in your specifiers. You can look for quotes that have specific notes or internal notes. You can look for quotes that have specific attachments, or the search tags that are generated inside of your database. You can look for those as well. Moving across, the selection, again, was a gathering tool. This is going to show us all of the different details that we want. Once we have that selected, we can move to the grouping field. This takes that selected data and separates it into buckets. Those buckets can then be defined or broken down by specific values or broken into pages. An example would be if we want to run a quote report by customer, see who our best customers are. We can look down in the available list of fields and add customer over here. That will take all of the selected data that we have, and it's going to break those 15 quotes down and show us by quote or by customer that's on there. We could do the same thing with manufacturer or parent manufacturer if we want to include all of the child brands that may be associated with that. Same thing with customer. If we're looking for all quotes by, say, Gray Bar, we can pull that in here and see all of those information. Typically, when you are grouping these reports, it's best to only have one or two groupings. When you have too many groupings, the data will not look as clean as you'd expect it to, because it takes that selected data and then presents it multiple times. The sort field is going to look at the layout. So any fields that are added to the columns on the layout are sortable. So these listings that we have here, if I go back to the sort, are the ones that are available. If you need additional fields to sort by, you'll have to adjust that in the layout. The filter button, oh, sorry, I forgot. On the grouping, I did mention the adjust values and the page break. Adjust values for some of the fields is going to take and present the header level details adjusted for the individual customer. So if you have certain customers set to get level 1 pricing versus sell pricing, when their name is presented on the report, it's going to show the dollar value associated with that customer. The same thing if we did by manufacturer. If it's a $100,000 quote, it's going to break down and only give the values for each of the manufacturers separately that you can then add together for the total of $100,000. The filter is directly connected to the grouping. So after we have grouped our data, we can then use the filter to exclude specific items. The selection button was a gathering tool. So it's going out there and gathering the specific information that we want. The filter is an exclusion tool. So if we come in here and we only want to see specific customers, we can go in and type those specific customers, and it will pull that down and drop all the data that is not associated with what we filter here. And then under our layout, this is where we're going to control what information we want to see on this report. We have a few different options based on the printing. So if you're going to print out as a PDF, the portrait, landscape, or legal makes a difference for the orientation of the data. And also we can see how much pixel space we have available for the different layout styles. When we first go here, there are specific fields that are over here by default, but if there is any data that you wish to see or data that you enter into Oasis, this is the field where you can pick what it shows. Aliases are a way to print the alternate names for the projects. You can add in addresses or brands. Any data that you fill out in Oasis typically has an available field that you can report on in these customizables. That also includes the sales account or the user search tags that are only in your database. So each of you will have your own list of these, but scroll down. They're called tags. That you can add into your report to see that information. When looking at a header level report in the layout, you have two separate fields. You have fields that can be displayed in their own columns and fields that can be displayed in their own rows. All of these fields can go into either one of these sections. If you are going to print to Excel, it's recommended that you keep all of the fields in their own columns rather than having them separated in their own row. That will help for cleaning up the data when sending over to Excel. When you are on a line level report, the layout has a third heading and a preset grouping. If I am in the quote area, it'll be quote ID. If I am in the order area, it'll be PO ID. If I'm in invoices, it's invoice ID. What these layouts or what that grouping does, it allows you to have a heading field because we're looking at line level data. This allows us to report on header level quote totals or order total fields in conjunction with the line level details that we want to get on our columns. Any questions on the report builder selection options?
None so far.
So with our selection out here, we're grouping. Let me add in manufacturer. Just had to switch over to line. I can click either the PDF or Excel and do a print preview. This print preview is going to give us a bar, which it went relatively quickly. And here, let me see if I can make this bigger for you guys. We see the header level information from this line level report is in this gray bar with this extra column width. So the project name, status, and value there. And then each of the quotes have been broken down by manufacturer that I grouped it by. So we see the different parts that were sent to them. There were 10 for Acolyte. There were 17 for Americolite, and so on. It breaks down and gives you the totals for that brand as well as all the line level details. If we go to the last page, we'll have a summary page that's going to show you the grand total for all of the items that were on this report. In our selection for the grouping, if we had selected page break, what that would do is each vendor or each manufacturer would be on its own page rather than combined down together. If we like the way that report looks, it has all of the details that we need. We can download the PDF and set that to where we have that. We can also go to this details section in the top left-hand corner and give this report a name. So quotes last month by G. We can save this report to allow it to be accessible from the reports page where we don't have to build our selection again in the future by going to the file and then save button. This report is now saved in the reports page, which I'll get to in a moment. From this, we have the Manage Access button. So if you are building these reports for other users, we can click into here and give access to the other users in your database to allow them to be able to print this report, edit this report if you'd like, or adding it on the desktop specifically, the homepage for their reports. If you have users that you don't necessarily want them to be able to edit this report, you can uncheck the edit. And when they get into this report, the edit option won't be available to them. They'll only be able to print it as is. If you're going to do that, I recommend that you do specifically the relative dates. So that way, when they print it, it's always relative rather than having direct dates that they are not able to change. To find this report that's been made, if I can go into the Oasis icon to look at the different pages, and I go to the reports page. From here, I'll see a list of reports that have been saved, and depending on what your setting is whether you'll see all of the reports or just the ones that you created or that you have access to. Looking at that short name, I can see that quotes last month that was by manufacturer. It's the report that I just made. I can come in here. I have the option to print it, where it's going to look at the data as is and print it. So those relative dates, if I print this each week, it will update going from today's date. If I need to modify it, I can click the edit button because I still have edit access to this report. I have access to change our output too, where I can send out this printed report as we need, and I can modify the access to giving to other users to be able to print this report. Any questions on saving the report?
None so far.
So back in the navigation of Oasis, we can go to the projects, the orders, the invoices, or payments. Each of these sections have their own reports. So if I go to the reports menu from that page, I see the customizable order listing, which is the header, or the customizable order listing line level, which is the line level report. If I select from there, it just defaults this data source to there. From there, we'll need to add in what information we want to find. If we were doing an order report, some of the common things that you would be looking for, you want to break down the different order types that are in your system or order kind, if it's commissioned or resell. If you need to see the vendor side or the customer side or the vendor side, you can select and break down. Notice over here on the current selection, this gives you an idea of all of the criteria that you have set and an estimated number of records. This estimated record is before the filter. So if we add in any kind of filter, this number won't change, but it does associate with some of them. But notice whenever I'm doing just for the sell, I get one value. If I add in just the vendor side, you get a different one. So you can see where it's calculating and getting those different informations. It gives you an idea of what you're looking for. The order report works the same way the quote does. It just has slightly different fields. And most of the time frame selections are on the More tab. We have the original time frame, which does pull from order entry date on the basic tab, but if we go to the More tab, it's where we have the option for the create and update and our scheduled dates as well. Building these reports are relatively intuitive. Once you know what each of these fields are designed to do, they will work at doing that type of report. So the selection is that gathering. The grouping is a dividing, the sort is just a sort, the filter is an exclusion, and the layout is the layout where you're going to pick and choose exactly what information you want to see. I recommend if you are building these reports for something, maybe a long time period, in your selection and your time frame, start with a smaller time frame just to get the layout looking correct or the way that you want it to before extending that out. That will allow the print previews or your previews of looking at it to move much quicker than it will if you're trying to print for 5 years and the data takes 20 minutes each time you print it. Once you have your layout and everything sorted the way that you'd like, then you can increase your time frame to the longer time periods and let that report run.
Ryan, we do have one question. Is there a future plan to have a report builder similar to the top-down reporting where we can see sales, quotes, orders, etc., with the current year-to-date information by month? As far as the future planning, I can answer that part. We are working on improving that and bringing it to the new system. It might not be an exact one-to-one, but a way to give the same information. Anything else to add to that, Ryan?
No, that would be what I would cover. There's the builder reports and then our new Moser summary reports that have some of that information. It's not going to be a direct one-to-one replacement of the top-down. The top-down was an older report that used older technology that wasn't able to be transitioned very well to the newer stuff. We have replaced most of that data with newer reports. With these customizables and any other report that you build in Oasis online specifically, it is possible for you to set up a reporting, scheduled reports. So that way Oasis can automatically send out those reports that we build on a specific time frame or frequency. So that new quote report that we built, I can create a new schedule here. And quotes last month by manufacturer. Choose my output. Do I want Excel or PDF? How often do I want this report to be ran? So like I can have it set to where it's going to come into my office every day at 4 a.m. Or I can come in and set it to be like Monday mornings. I only want it every Monday. I can select the users that I want it to send to. So if I want it to send to myself every Monday morning and all of my sales team, I can add those users. So when they have this report in here, I can create this schedule, and then starting Monday morning, it's going to automatically run this report and email it out to my user because my user has an email, because that's how I get onto online and any other uses that I do. This allows you to automate some of this information where you don't have to go in and build these reports or print them yourselves. Oasis Online can handle that for you.
Ryan, I did miss a question. Somebody was asking, can you add paid to the order reports?
Paid?
Yes.
Yes, there is a field for that. It is going to be received. There it's received. Total received on the order is going to be the amount that has been paid for this order. So adding this over here will give you the paid amount that was added to the order or to the invoice.
Thank you.
There any other questions?
So far, none in the Q&A section.
Um, I kind of mentioned it. You can see if you're going using the layout builders and you're on a PDF, if the sizing is over because I have too many fields, it's going to let you know that it'll go off of the page's available margins. It gives you kind of a red idea to indicate this is too much details that we would have to remove. Or if you want to, you can adjust these values. So maybe you don't need the project name to be so big. We can come in here and change this to 85, just make things smaller to help account for some of this sizing. To make it so that it is not red. When you preview it, you can make sure that all of your columns are not showing too much. In this reason, whenever I tried to do a print preview for it, it's telling me that I must narrow down my search criteria, because whenever I came back into this order onto the selection option, I have nothing selected, so it's trying to gather everything. You have to give it at least something to look for. So even if I narrowed it down to a time frame or just my commissioned orders, that will help me print this report. You have to give it some kind of details, and then it will allow you to do that. If there is ever a reason that it's not printing, you will get a red box up here. It typically will tell you why it was not able to print. I've seen it do it for the PDF was already open, or narrowing down the search criteria. If you get something and you're not sure what it means, just send us a screenshot of it and we'll be happy to explain it. That was the customizable reports in online.
All right, any other questions? If not, we can give you some time back today. All right, thanks everybody for your time. Feel free to give us a call if you think of something later on.
If you have any questions or issues, don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help.